This is Jay Newton, Vega High School ag teacher, and this video is a video of the workshop that I'm presenting at the Vatat workshops this summer in Arlington of 2017. This workshop title is Autodesk Inventor, an introduction, and so what I plan to do is give you a short little preview of AutoCAD Inventor and how it works. Autodesk Inventor is a product made by Autodesk. It's a free download for your school for all educational purposes. You can give every student you have a copy of this program. At Vega High School, we teach Autodesk Inventor to our sophomores, and we teach AutoCAD to our freshmen. It's part of our ag curriculum. We use Inventor for all of our blueprints and our drawings of all of our ag mechanics projects. We find that it's the easiest program for us to use, and it helps us to develop the most professional looking drawings and presentations for the contests that we go to. So let's get started. This is the icon that's on the screen. It's the big I. Make sure when you download it, you want to download Inventor Pro. There are multiples, but download Inventor Pro. I already have it pulled up this morning because it takes a little bit to start it the first time. When you first open it, this is the screen, the home page you're going to see. It looks like this. It shows several different icons. I personally just close that and go right to work. Today we're going to be drawing a shop table. So the first thing that we have to do is we have to go to the project folder. We click on New. In New, we're going to use a single user project. So next, right here I'm going to type in the project name. So I'm just going to type in shop table. A little key right here is I always type everything in in all caps. When it prints, it seems to give me the most professional looking quality. If I wanted to change the location of where the folder is going to be, I could change it right here. I'm going to leave it alone and let it file it where it wants to. The reason that we're setting this up is that anything that I save will go to the folder. I don't have to worry about putting it in the right folder that it goes with. It will automatically save it to whatever the active project folder is. So here it asks, does the path need to be created? You say okay. Okay, and you'll notice that right here it gives me a double check or a check mark on the shop table project. That is the active project. So anything that I create will save to this project file shop table. If I need to change the project type or the projects, I can just click on another project and it becomes the active folder, and that's where it will drop it to. So we're going to leave the check mark right here and we're going to say done. Okay, so now we're ready to move on. We've got our project, got that part of it set up. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to click on New, and we're going to go to Standard IPT. Now, what Standard IPT is a standard part, and that could be anything that you're drawing, whether it be a solid part, it could be a frame, it could be whatever you're drawing. So this is going to be the frame of our table. And I'm going to show you a program, or part of this program called Frame Generation, that makes it so easy when you're building trailer frames or table frames or anything that has multiple structural steel involved. So we're going to start our sketch. Click on Start Sketch. We're going to sketch on the XY plane. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create the table legs. So I'm going to start with a line, and I'm just going to make a horizontal line, and I'm going to hold it so that the line is at 90 degrees. I don't care what the length is. Now this is one thing that's a little bit different in Inventor than AutoCAD. When we draw in AutoCAD, it expects us to draw and tell it the exact lengths. Inventor really doesn't care because we're going to come back and assign that length later. The next thing, I'm going to put a horizontal line, and I'm just going to cover over the line and click, and I'm going to drag the line again. I don't care how long it is. I just want to click and put a line there. I'm going to escape. Well, I'm going to escape, and I'm going to say line again. This time I'm going to come right here and I'm going to hover over that dot, just come straight down, click, and drag me another line up approximately the same length as the other line, keeping it at 90 degrees. Now I'm going to assign some constraints. What constraints are is the ability to keep a line in the position that I put it in. If I grab this line right now, I can move this line anywhere I want to move it on the page. You notice right here that this line and this line are not connected. Even though I drew them that way, it didn't connect them automatically. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tell it connect this point to this line. And I'm going to do that with a coincident constraint. The coincident constraint is right here. I'm going to click right there. I'm going to find the end dot of that line, and then I'm going to click on this line. Notice it moved the line to it. Now I don't have to do it over here because that constraint is already there. It won't matter if I decide to go ahead and do it, but let's just go ahead and show you what happens. If I click right there and then I click right here, it tells me that constraint already exists. You don't need to do that. So I'll go ahead and cancel out of it. Now I've got this line drawn. Again, I can move it like that and it'll stay together. Or I can move this like this, and it's going to stay together. So let's drop some dimensions on it. What this is going to be the length of my table, the frame length of my table. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tell it, let's go ahead and assign this length right here a value. Well, our table we're going to be building today is a 4x8 table, so it's 96 inches long. Well, I don't want it to be a complete 96 inches because I want the table legs to be recessed from the edge about 3 inches on both ends. And I'm using 3-inch square tubing for the legs, so we'll make a little bit of a compensation there. We're going to go ahead and assign this value at 90 inches. That will allow me 3 inches at both ends of the table. Now, I can come in and change this dimension at any time if I choose to. I'll show you how to do that here in just a minute. I would like for this table to remain centered. So I'm going to drop a dimension from the center point of the page to this edge of this line right here, and I'm just going to drop that dimension. I'm going to click on this because I want to be a derived dimension off of that. So I'm going to say, go get that dimension and divide it by 2 and enter, and notice it made it 45 inches from the center of the table. You might have noticed down here in the bottom right hand side of the page, it says 5 dimensions needed. It's telling you that because Inventor wants to always work in a fully constrained setting. So it knows that I have a few dimensions left. So let's go here. Let's place a dimension here. Let's make our tabletop, let's say 42 inches for our legs, because we're going to put some casters on the bottom of these legs. So we'll say 42 inches. Now I would like for this leg and this leg to be exactly the same. So I'm going to use the equal constraint, and I'm going to click on equals, click this line, and these two lines are exactly equal now. Now the thing that I'm most concerned about, I want to make sure that the points, that this point and this point is at the exact same place. So I'm going to do a vertical constraint. Excuse me, let's do a horizontal. So I'm going to do a horizontal constraint, and I'm going to pick that point, and I'm going to go over here and I'm going to pick that point. And now those two lines are exactly the same length, exactly the same point. Tells me I have 2 dimensions left. That dimension, one of them is going to be this from here to here. So we're just going to make that 12 inches. Alright, now one more dimension. We want to lock this down to the center of the page. So I'm going to grab right there and right there. Let's see what happened here. Sometimes, okay, so I want it to go from there to there and constrain those two lines together. Alright, let's see here. Coincident constraint from there to this dot. Okay, there we go. I don't know what was wrong. Sometimes it does some stupid things. I know it couldn't have been me, but anyway. Okay, so now this drawing is fully constrained, shows us at the bottom of the page. Now this will be our table leg frame. We're not completely through, it's just a two-dimensional drawing. So we're going to go ahead and say, right now, I'm going to say finish sketch. And what I like to do right now is I'm going to go ahead and save it. And I'm going to save it as leg frame sketch. Okay, and I'm going to save. Okay, now we're going to start another sketch on the same frame. Now you'll notice these planes, these work planes come up. So what we're wanting to do is we're wanting to create a work plane on a specific point. So if I click on work plane, and I go down here to the end of this line, and I click there, and I double click, that work plane becomes a line, or becomes a plane for me to draw on. You cannot draw on anything without a plane in place. So now I'm going to say start sketch, and I'm going to tell it I want to sketch on this plane. So it turns it around. This time we're going to sketch the leg, or the divider width. So I'm going to scroll in here to this point. I'm going to click on that point, and I'm going to just drag a line right over here. I'm not really concerned about the length of the line yet. I just want to drag a line over to there. I'm going to go ahead and drop a dimension because I want to be able to control this width. Again, we're using a 48-inch table, or we want a 48-inch top. So we're going to take 6 inches off of that. So let's make this be a 42-inch width. Okay, and we're going to say finish sketch. Okay, we're going to roll it around to the other end, because remember what we're doing is we're drawing a sketch that we're going to use. We're going to go to work plane again. We're going to zoom in on the dot of the end of that line, and we're going to click there, and we're going to click there again, and then we're going to say start sketch. We're going to sketch on this face. Okay, and I'm going to rotate it so that it's a little easier for me to see to draw. I'm going to click on line. I'm going to go right there to that center point so that they're connected. I'm going to drag this line over here like this and just drop it. Now, the trick I showed you this morning, or earlier, when I drag this dimension, I want this dimension to be the exact same dimension as this one over here. So I'm just going to go over here and click that dimension and say enter. Now both of those cross members are the exact same length. Finish sketch. We got one more sketch to make, and that's the legs on the other side. So we're going to turn around. We're going to add another work plane, and we're going to do it to the end point of this line. So I'm going to come there, click there. Now I've got that work plane. Start sketch. I'm going to go on this right to the work plane like that. Now, because I already have the other side drawn, and I don't necessarily, it's not going to be different, they're going to be the exact same, I'm going to project the geometry that's on the other side so that it's exactly the same. So I'll click project geometry from that leg, this leg, and the cross member. So whatever I do to the right side, the exact same thing will happen to the left side. I'll show you why this is beneficial here in a minute. I want to say finish sketch. Okay, I feel like my drawing is good, so I'm going to hit save. One thing I tell my kids at the school all the time, save and save often. I've had some young men and women before that have got a drawing almost done and something happens. The computer goes dead or something happens. And they lose their drawing, and it's very frustrating once you've spent multiple hours drawing on something and then all of a sudden boom, it's gone and you don't have anything to show from it. So okay, so we have our leg frame sketch drawn, so we're going to close that and we're going to open the correction. We're going to go to new, and we're going to open a standard assembly. Now what an assembly is a group or a mixture of multiple parts. It can be sheet metal parts. It could be standard IPT, whatever you want to do. So I've got the assembly open. I'm going to go up here where it says place from content center, and I'm going to hold that line down until it changes to place. I'm going to come right here and catch the leg frame sketch and say open, and just anywhere on the screen I'm going to drop it. Now if I wanted multiples, look here, I could drop as many of them as I want. Don't necessarily need but one, so I'm just going to hit escape. And right here is what we've already done. Now we've placed this into an assembly because we are going to start building our table from this sketch. Okay, so first thing we need to do after we've placed that is we need to save the assembly. So I'm going to hit save, and I'm going to call this assembly leg. A-S-S-E-M-B. Assembly. Sorry, the worst thing about me is I'm a horrible speller. So leg assembly, save. Alright, it changes. We're going to go to design, insert frame. Now here's the easiest part about Inventor. It will allow me to decide how I want to place the legs, what I want to do. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to pick the piece of steel I want. The first thing I'm going to get is some square tubing, and I'm going to pick, let's use 3 by 3 by 3/16. This is going to be a heavy table, a good shop welding table, so we're going to go ahead and use that. I'm going to pick on this leg, and you'll notice it put an icon there of what skeleton type view of what the leg looks like. Now what I do is I click right here so that I can make sure that the leg placement is exactly the way that I would like it to be. I want this leg placement to be on the inside corner. So if I click right here, it's not where I want it. I click right there, not where I want it. Click right there, nope. How about this corner? That's where I want it. So that's where I'm going to click the leg placement. I'm going to say apply. Okay, okay, and it's fixing to drop that leg there. I'm going to go back to isometrical view. I'm going to click on this leg. We're going to do the same thing again. I'm going to move it. I pretty much know that if I hit this corner right here, right here, it's going to place it where I want. I'm going to say okay, and it put it. All right, let's get the last two legs. Now some of you might say, well, why don't you do all of them at the same time? And I have found that if we do them all at the same time, I'll show you right here why we don't do all of them at the same time. It depends on where you pick on the leg. I picked right here on this leg. I'm going to pick right here on this other leg, and then I'm going to turn around and show you. And when you know, it wouldn't do what I wanted it to do. But the placement is not going to be the same. See there? It put this one in the right spot, but this one's in the wrong spot. So we're going to say cancel here, insert frame. I have found in my dealings that it's easiest if I just do one at a time. One at a time. Drop the leg over there where you want it to be. Let's make sure I put it on the right side. Well, goodness. Okay. 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 Now, I'll show you something that if I do it every time, it'll work a little better. When you, instead of saying okay, if I'd have just hit apply, I wouldn't have to re-hit the button every time. All right. Okay, that one is placed where we want. So if I hit apply and okay right here, it's going to apply, and it's left this box open for me to do the next step. Okay. All right, so let's rotate this up. This is going to be the front side of our table. As you can see, the box is right here. This is the top of our table. So now let's put the cross members in. The cross members we're going to build out of 3-inch angle iron. So I'm going to click on insert frame. Oh, I nearly screwed up. Let's click save. Remember, save and save often. Save. I really wouldn't have screwed anything up, but the chances of me losing everything I'd already done are there. So it's saved. Now let's insert frame. We're going to change the family type to angle right here. Equal leg angle. And I'm going to select the size. I want to use 3 by 3 by 3/16 angle. Okay? So I'm going to come in here, and the first place I'm going to place a piece of angle is right here. Now, you'll notice, see where the dot is? Now, let's look around and let's see if we can tell exactly how that angle. See, it has the leg going up. I can hit that bottom. Now you see it flip the leg down. So let's go back and flip it back the other way. Let's go ahead and put 90 degrees right here because it's going the wrong direction. Now you see it rotated it around so the leg goes down and it's facing to the inside. I'm going to say apply. It placed it like I want. So let's go do this side. Okay. Now this time, because I've already got it the right way, I can click that and you see it changed it automatically. I'm going to say apply. Okay. Now how about this piece? It's already set up to the right way. Apply. Okay. Alright, now we got one more end. This time we're going to click right here. Notice it's the wrong direction, so we're going to flip it around and we're going to say apply. Okay. Now, this is a little more advanced, but let's say that we happen to place the wrong piece of material, or we put the material the wrong size. We can go fix it. And the way we have to enter in here, and we can open this part up, and we can edit with what the edit with frame generator. I'm not going to go through and explain it and show you, but I just want you to be aware that it is doable. If I click right here and I click edit with frame generator, it will allow me to change that part. Okay, so I have all my parts in place. They look really good. I'm going to go ahead and save. Yes to all. Okay. Now, you may notice that this piece of angle iron is running right past the corner, and this piece is coming all the way to the corner. Well, if I was building that, that wouldn't be the way that it works. We couldn't do that way. So we're going to trim that piece of angle iron to this face so that it's ready to go. So I'm going to click trim this frame member to this face, and I'm going to say apply. And you'll notice it cut it right there. Okay, so since we're right here, let's roll on around. Let's say trim this piece to this face, apply. Okay, now since we're already set up right here, trim this piece to this face, apply. We've got one more to do on this end. We'll roll it around one more time. Trim this piece to this face, apply. Alright, now let's go fix the other end. Trim this piece to this face, apply. Trim this piece to this face, apply. Alright, we got two more to do. This piece to this face, apply, and this piece to this face, apply. Okay, now we have them all trimmed like they would when you'd weld them in your shop. Now, I could have done that a different way. I could have placed the upright post at the opposite corner, and then the angle iron would have already be set to the right length, and I wouldn't have had to go in there and trim it all. But there are times when you need to trim it. Alright, so now we have our legs done. We've hit save. Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to turn off the sketch because really I don't really need all these different parts. So to turn off the sketch, I'm going to right click here and just tell it to turn the visibility off, because all I really want to see is the legs. That sketch is for nothing more than design. Now, I'm going to show you one thing right here that we did. Let's go turn the sketch back on. And I'm going to show you. So let's say, for example, that we changed our plan, and instead of building a 96-inch table, we were going to build a 4x10. It was going to be 10 foot long. So if we were going to do that, this 90 would need to change from 90 to 120, because 10 foot's 120 inches. So I'm going to go in here, open this up. I'm going to edit the main sketch. I'm going to double click right there, edit the main sketch, and I'm going to change this amount to whatever it is. For time being, just to show you, I'm going to say 110 inches. Enter. I'm going to say finish sketch. I'm going to return. And you notice everything moved. I didn't have to go move a single piece. I changed one dimension, the whole table changed. So that's the best part of Inventor. Once I have the drawing done, it's very user friendly to go in and edit and change things. Maybe my customer wants to order an 8x8 table. Well, I've already kind of got it set up. I could come in there and change that sketch. Just go edit the sketch and change the sketch to an 8x8. So we're going to change it back to 90. I just really wanted to show you. That's the best thing, in my opinion, about Inventor, because it's so user friendly and will let you change and fix so many things without having to start over and redraw it. So, okay, so since I brought it back, I'm going to hit save and say yes to all, and I'm going to save it again. And then I'm done with the leg sketch for right now. I'm going to go ahead and turn the sketch view off. So all I have is the legs. I'm going to hit save again, and that'll be the end of that drawing. I'm going to minimize this drawing, and we're going to go start a new drawing. So every table that I build at Vega High School has a set of pads at the bottom. The set of pads are there so that we could put on casters if we wanted to. If we wanted to screw it to the floor, we could do that. So we're going to start a new standard sketch. We're going to start a sketch. Again, it doesn't really matter which plane. Since I want this to be the top of it, I'm going to go ahead and sketch on this plane. I'm just going to grab the rectangular tool, and I'm just going to draw a rectangle. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tell it, I know that this sketch probably needs to be about a 5x5 piece of square. So I'm going to make that 5 there. Now, it's not a square, it's close, but I'm going to go ahead and tell it to make every side equal. So now they're equal. Okay? All right, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say make this constrained from here to here, and I want that to be half. I want it to be half of whatever that is. So I clicked on that dimension and hit divide by 2. Same thing goes right here, from here to here. I want that to be, well, it's going to be this same dimension. So if I just hit there, it'll change. Now let's play with it a little bit and make sure that it's going to do what I want it to do. So if I click right here and I happen to change this to 10 inches, it moved it all the way around. Okay, so let's go back, make it 5-inch square, enter. Okay, we're fully constrained. It's not going to move anywhere. All right, well, let's do a little bit of detail work to it, because most likely we're not going to just cut out a piece of square. We're going to round the corners off or put a fillet on them. So let's put a 1/4-inch fillet on all 4 corners. So I clicked on fillet. I typed in 0.25. I'm going to click this line and this line, and it drew a 1/4-inch fillet. This line and this line, it drew a fillet. This line, this line, this line, this line. Okay, finish sketch. So now we have a drawing of what this plate would be. We're going to extrude this and make a piece of plate. So let's make this out of 1/4 inch plate. So I typed in 0.25, hit enter. Now I have a plate. So I can drill holes in this plate. I could just weld this plate on flat, so I have a foot. But since we're going to be adding a caster to it, we are going to go ahead and put some holes in it. So we're going to say create sketch, and we're going to sketch on this face. Now to do a hole, I could either draw a circle and tell it to extrude, or I could tell it to just make a point. It makes no difference. So let's say circle, and I'm going to draw, and I'll tell it to make that circle. Okay, 2 circles. Let's go here and make another one right here. And I'm not paying a whole lot of attention because I'm going to come in and put some constraints on it. First thing I'm going to do is tell it to make all of them equals, because I want all my holes to be the same size. Okay, the next thing I want to do is I would like for this hole to be a 1/2 inch from the edge of the square. So I'm going to put 0.5, and then I want it to be a 1/2 inch from this side as well. I'm going to tell it right here to just copy this dimension. Same thing with this side. I want it to be, well, I'll tell you what, let's do something different. Let's make this be a horizontal constraint. So we're going to say this line and this point, line those two up. And then we're going to do the same thing on this one. This point, line those two up. Then let's do a vertical constraint, line this point and this point up. Okay, so now we're going to go and we're going to tell it to make this line, or this hole, the center of this hole, from this edge. How about we just go tell it to make it the same as that one? Okay, now notice it didn't stay the same here, so we need to put us a little vertical constraint from this hole to this hole. Okay, tells us that we have 2 dimensions needed. That dimension is going to be from this wall, from here to here. We need to make it the same as that one. Okay, 1 dimension needed, and that dimension is the diameter of the circle. Okay, we're going to tell it to put in a 3/8 hole, 0.375. Okay, now the hole pattern is fully constrained. Now, it would have been a little quicker had I just put a point there, but the reason that I went ahead and drew the hole was because a lot of us have CNC plasma tables. So now I've already drawn that drawing. I can take that drawing right straight to my plasma table and convert it and burn that plate out and not have to worry about a kid getting the hole points off or getting the bolt pattern wrong. Finish sketch, extrude. Now this time, instead of making it long, we're going to cut the holes out. So I'm going to click on all 4 holes. And after I click on the 4 holes, I'm going to say cut. And I'm going to tell it to cut all the way through and say OK. Now I have my foot plate done. Let's go ahead and save it. And we'll just call it foot plate. And we're going to save. And now we're going to close this, and we're going to get ready to put the foot plate on the table. Okay, now that we've got that done, we need to go and we need to open up our original leg assembly. We're going to open it, and we're going to go take the foot plates that we just created, and we are going to place them on the bottom of each one of these legs. So the way we do that is we go to place, we go find the foot plate, open it, and we're going to drop 4 plates. I'm going to hit escape, Now we're going to constrain these plates so that they're all the same. Now what constrain means is just telling them to all stay in the same position. So I'm going to constrain, and I'm going to tell it to make this face and this face flush with each other. I'm going to tell it to make this face and this face flush with each other. And I'm going to tell it to make this face and this face flush with each other. The next constraint I'm going to do, I'm going to turn it around, and I'm going to say make this edge and this edge flush with each other. And then I'm going to tell it to make this edge and this edge flush with each other. Each time you click on that, I don't know if you guys can hear the click it's making, but it makes a clicking sound when the constraint is made, letting you know that they're all the same. Okay, we have one last set of constraints to make, and that is this face right here and this constraint right here, this face right here. Okay, so now we have all the blocks constrained to where they line up with each other. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to mate. This is a mate constraint. We're going to mate this face with the bottom of the leg. So we're going to turn it over, and we're going to zoom in, and we're going to say I want you to mate that to right there, and I'm going to say apply. Okay, so you'll notice that all the plates now are setting down there at the bottom. Alright. Okay. Now we're going to take and we're going to say constrain this face and this face together. We're going to tell it to mate or make them flush, and we're going to tell it to make it 1 inch out. Okay. And then I'm going to swing it around, and we're going to tell it this face and this face, and we're going to make it 1 inch out so that it centers the plate in the bottom of the leg. Okay, now see, this one brought it to the right length there, but we're still off on this side over here. So we'll say mate or flush that face, 1 inch, apply. Okay, now we got a little problem down here on this end, and I probably mated something incorrect. I've got number 1 and number 2 together. So flush number 1 is right. Flush number 6 is wrong. So I'm going to delete flush number 6, and I'm going to move this plate. There we go. Now see, and probably going to be flush number 5 is flush with that one, and 2 is flush with that one. Alright, let's see what happens here. So this one, let's turn this around and tell it to constrain this face, flush this face with this face, and move it out 1 inch. Ah, see there? It moved it the opposite direction of what I thought it would move it. So I'm going to tell it negative 1 inch, and see, it brought it out the right direction. Apply. Okay, now we got this one, and see, we got a constraint here on this plate, and it is going to be this constraint. So we're going to delete that constraint, going to move it over here, and now we're going to say constrain this face flush with this face, apply. And last one, we're going to say this face flush with this face. Apply. Cancel. Now we have all of our base plates on there so that it's ready to add a caster or whatever we want to do later. So I'm going to hit save. Okay, that part of the table is done. Okay, so now it's time for us to create the top. I'm just going to minimize this for time being, and we're going to go say new. New. This time we're going to create a sheet metal part. And to start our sketch, we're going to sketch our sketch on the XZ plane. And we're going to draw us a rectangle. We're going to dimension our rectangle. And we're going to make our rectangle a 96-inch plate. And we're going to make it 48 inches wide. So 4 by 8. Shows us that we still have 2 dimensions. So we're going to come in here from this line to here. I hit the wrong button. So from there to the center of the page, we're going to click and we're going to tell it to make it half of that. So that way if I edit it and I change this to a 5 by 10 table, I only have to make 2 changes. And then we're going to do this one the same way. That one divided by 2. Enter. Okay, we're fully constrained. I'm going to say, oh, one other thing let's do. I like my shop tables to have smooth corners or rounded corners. So I'm going to go ahead and put a fillet, and I'm going to put a 2-inch fillet, and I'm going to do it on 2 corners. I'm going to say this corner and this corner. We're going to put that rounded fillet on that corner. We're going to leave, or well, let's do it on 3, and I'll show you why we're not going to put that on there in a minute. Okay, so I'm going to say finish sketch. Okay, I'm going to tell it that I want this to be the face. So this is my face. I'm going to say apply. And then I'm going to change this sheet metal part. I'm going to change the thickness because right now it's only 1/8 of an inch thick. I want my tabletop to be a 1/2 inch thick. So I made it thicker. It's got a nice rounded top. While we're here, let me show you some other thing you can do. I'd like to change the way that looks. So let's click on it. I'll tell you what, let's save it first in case we don't lose it. Save it, and let's call it tabletop. Save. Okay. Now I'm going to come in and I'm going to select the whole table. And I'm going to go up here to default. And I'm going to change the look of the way that table looks. Let's see here. How about we make that table kind of a gunmetal polish? Because most of us aren't going to paint the top of a table. We're going to leave it polished. So I'm just going to change that. Go ahead and hit save. Okay, I'm ready to go. So we're going to open back our assembly, our leg assembly. We're going to go place. And we're going to place our tabletop. Open. I'm going to just drop it right here. Notice it's going to let me do a couple, so I'm going to say constrain. First thing I want to do is I'm going to mate that top from this surface. I'm going to look underneath it to this surface. Apply. Now, you can see that's all touching all together. So now let's go in here and let's say constrain. And let's say this face, make this face flush with this face. Okay, now you'll remember back when we built the table, we wanted a 3-inch lip. So if I put 3 inches here, you can see now I got a 3-inch lip right here and a 3-inch lip down there. I'm going to say apply. I'm going to roll it up where I can see the top side. Now I'm going to tell it I want to make this face and this face. And I want it to have a 3-inch lip as well. So I'm just going to down click that, apply. Now, this tabletop will not go anywhere. Okay, so my tabletop is attached to my steel. While we're here, how about we go, let's do this. Let's say save. It might be kind of neat to make all of our I don't want the whole thing. If we wanted all of our legs to be one color, hold shift, it got that, hold shift, grab that one there, I'm going to rotate it around, hold shift, get that. So how about we make the legs of this drawing, let's make it blue. I like blue. So now we can apply some color to what our drawing looks like. I'm going to hit save. Very similar to what I'm going to do. Okay, last thing that I'm going to do that I'm going to show you is we're going to add a piece of angle iron on two sides of this table for pipe or whatever. So I'm going to go to place from content center. I'm going to open, it opens up like this. I'll show you, it opens up like this. I'm going to click on angle iron. It's in structural steel. I'm using ANSI equal legs. I'm going to click on it. Okay, so I know I'd like to use a piece of 3 by 3 by 3/16. I might have a little bit over from where I put this on. I know that I need one piece that's 96 inches long. Okay. So I'm going to say apply, and I'm going to say save, and then I'm going to drop that piece of angle iron right there. Okay, I'm going to go place from content center again, same thing, equal angle iron, 3 by 3 by 3/16. This time I'm going to get a 24-inch piece. I'm going to say apply, save, drop it right there. Okay, now we're going to take this piece of angle iron and we're going to place it to the table. Now the reason I did this because we did the legs with the frame generation, but I wanted you to see that you can develop other shapes of steel and place them together with constraints just like you would if you didn't use the frame generation. So I'm going to say constrain. I'm going to pick this surface right here, or that line. I'm going to zoom over here to this angle iron, and I'm going to pick that line right there. Now you'll notice it placed that angle iron. Well, let's look what it did. I grabbed it in the wrong spot. So you see I put it on backwards. So let's undo. Let's try it again. Constrain. I want this top surface. I don't want the surface. I want the top corner. So I want this top corner right there. And then I'm going to go into grab it right there and say apply. Okay. Now I want this end to be flush, so I'm going to say constrain, flush this end. See, I hit mate. I didn't want mate, I want flush, so I changed it to flush. Okay. Now I want that to be at a 45-degree angle. So I'm going to tell angle, I'm going to click on this one right here. I'm going to say from this surface, I want this line to be at 45 degrees. Oh, let's do it. Let's do it a different way. So constrain, angle, this surface, this leg, this piece, 45 degrees. Well, you'll find that there's times where you have to do a little playing with it. See, it's not 90. Let's go here. Let's put in 135. And there, placed it right. Okay. All right. Cancel. Okay, now let's put this last piece on here. So I clicked on that line, hit apply. Notice what I did wrong. I should have made this piece 48 inches long and I only made it 24. I could go back and fix it, but I think you understand the gist. So we're going to go ahead and tell it to be flush. This surface flush with that surface right there. Apply. Let's get the angle set. Well, we want to go from here to there, and we're going to say 45. Well, dad burn, look, I did it again. Okay, there I am. Apply. Now, got the corners of both tables set. That piece of angle iron. Originally, I was planning on this angle iron going all the way to this end, but you understand the point. So that's pretty much the end of building it. I'm going to go ahead and pause this video or stop this video as we've been about 45 minutes here. So I'm going to pause this, and I will come back and I will show you how to set up a drawing and in another video. Okay, thanks for watching. Hope this has been helpful.